All right, so my name is Mike Over, and I am here to help give dads and parents, basically people over the age of 35, 40, the ideal way to train. And so this guy's got some stuff to say. The Father Project, let's see what he has to say about strength training with being over the age of 40. And we're going to start it at the 2-minute mark.
That's a lot safer, like a dumbbell military press or something like that. Now we have a full exercise list that gives you the best versus worst exercises. You can click the links below and you can download that, and these are all vetted by our team, and we actually link up all the hundreds of different video exercise tutorials we have here on our channel, so we have that resource for you. But the big picture here is if there's an exercise that seems to cause your body problems based on your mechanics and injuries you may have had, ditch the exercise, pick stuff that's joint friendly. Typically dumbbells are a better option. Sometimes there is a good use to use certain machines for chest pressing where you may have used barbells in the past. We got to keep your joints healthy.
So before we dive in, this is an important fact, okay? And I say fact because the thing is you don't want to be injured. And so many coaches and trainers wear pegs into round holes by saying you must military press with a bar. You must deadlift with a barbell. These things are not a conventional must be. You need to find out what is the most effective, pain-free way for you to train. And, for example, this is my 8th knee surgery. Okay. I've had terrible knees for years. So I do a lot more hinging, right? Or pulling. So I do a lot more things that I can do from the ground versus things that I can push away from that involve a lot of knee flexion and torque coming down. So it's what works for you, but there are safer variations. Let's see what he has to say here.
Second principle is understanding the difference between volume and frequency. So volume is the total amount of sets and reps per body part per week. Frequency is how frequently you hit a body part. So for example, an optimal amount of volume for your legs, for example, may be around 15 to 20 sets per week. And there's a couple ways that we could potentially divide up that volume. You could do 15 to 20 sets in one leg workout and you could be sore for 7 days, or you can split those 15 to 20 sets up on 7 sets on Monday, 7 on Wednesday, 7 on Friday. And I'm going to make this first key point. The more optimal way, in our opinion, to train when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s is slightly higher frequency with less volume per training session. And what this means is instead of just doing leg day on Monday and being sore for 7 days because you did 20 sets, is to maybe do leg day twice a week and do half your sets on one day, half your sets on another day. The reason this seems to be a better idea for strength training over 40 versus the full leg day approach is that there is a diminishing returns to every additional set you do per body part. Because building muscle is kind of like, it's an analogy of like pushing an elevator button. We're trying to create a signal. And once we create that signal for muscle growth with our training, we need to rest and recover. But once that elevator is coming, that signal's created, jamming on the button more times is not going to make it come faster. It's just going to hurt your thumb. So my point of saying this is that doing 7 sets is going to give you that stimulation. Doing the next 13 sets on top of that might give you marginal benefit with a greater inroad into your recovery. It's going to make it harder for you to recover. You won't be able to train as frequently. And we get this muscle growth, muscle protein synthesis effect after training for roughly, let's just say 24 to 72 hours, depending on how long you've been training and your age. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to not train for half the week when you could be getting another stimulation. So I'm trying to say stimulate with the right number of sets, rest and recover, stimulate, rest and recover is a better option. So divide your volume up with slightly higher frequency. Young guys often do the full chest day, the full leg day, where I think you should spread it out. So the two best splits, practically speaking, that seem to work well for a lot of people on our programs is first full body training. Old school training, you're doing every single body part, like 4 to 5 sets on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for example. So you're hitting everything and you're spreading that volume evenly. Great way to do it. So what a workout might look like, you'll start with legs. You might do some kind of squatting motion that feels good for your body. Then you'll do some back work. So maybe you do a barbell row. Then maybe you do some chest work, a dumbbell. Then you do an overhead pressing, and then you finish with some arms and some abs. It's a full body training, and then you'll train again 2 days later, then again 2 days later. You're getting constant stimulation, constant muscle growth without overtaxing your body and potentially leading to injury. So the full body training is the approach we use inside our Old School Muscle program. Amazingly effective. Guys get incredibly strong using this 3-day-a-week full body old school training, if you will. Another good option is what we do in our phase 2 of Old School Muscle is upper lower training. So you might do 2 upper body days per week, 2 lower body days per week. So it might look like upper body on Monday, lower body on Tuesday, rest on Wednesday. Upper body on Thursday, lower body on Friday, rest over the weekend.
So this is a great thing, and I'm glad that he does talk about this, because there is a diminishing return on doing too much after the age of 35 and 40. Your body isn't like what it used to be. You can't just let's be real. You can't go to your college dorm parties, drink all night, go to sleep at 3 a.m., wake up at 6 a.m., run 2 miles, hit the gym, and feel amazing off a couple Red Bulls. It doesn't work that way when you hit this age. And it's so hard to say. But the thing is guys try to do that, and they end up flipping backwards with the stress response. And they see it all the time, because then what happens is you create more inflammation, you create more stress. You then start getting hungrier. Then you get more frustrated. Then you start getting moody. Then you start overeating. So the problem is adding too much volume. So reducing the volume is key. Now, he doesn't talk about this, but I like saying cut out junk volume, meaning you can drop volume down. I like even 10 to 15 sets. That's plenty per week, per muscle group. And if you cut out the 4 warm-up sets that you do, and just do 1, maybe 2 warm-up sets, then hit your work sets and get to work on 2 or 3 good, strong work sets, pushing sets near to failure. That's all you need to stimulate growth. That's it. You don't need the warm-up 1, warm-up 2, warm-up 3. Then you work. Oh, then we want to deload and back off, do some drop-off sets, some rest pause. No. Get your work in a few sets as possible, because he's right. The less is more here after you age. So very important tactic here. Full body workouts are great. I like more push-pull legs or upper lowers.
Specific days don't matter, the spacing does. And even more so than the spacing is the concept. Spread your volume out. Don't slam your body with 20 rep set chest days. Spread it out over a couple different training sessions. You're going to get better results that way. Number 3, and this principle applies to strength training if you're under 40 as well, but it's that progressive resistance is key to building muscle and building strength. And that means that when you go into the gym, you need to know the right number of sets and reps that you're trying to hit. So let's say you are doing that dumbbell chest press and you are aiming to do 3 sets of 12 reps, for example, with a 50-pound dumbbell. Once you can hit that, you need to try to lift a 55-pound dumbbell the next time you get into the gym. If you're not progressively trying to lift heavier weights, you're not giving your body a stimulus to continue to grow. And this becomes even more important in our 40s when our hormone levels are declining, testosterone levels are getting lower, so we need to be more disciplined with our training. So that's why this progressive resistance principle is key, and that's why it kind of also begs the important thing that you need to have a structured training plan. If you go in the gym without knowing what you're doing, you're not going to make as much progress. You see the guys, if you've been to a commercial gym, who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, who are lifting the same 25-pound dumbbells. You've seen them there for 5 years, still lifting the same 25s. Their arms look the same. You got to be diligent. You got to try to lift heavier weights when you can hit your rep targets, and that's why it's essential to actually track your weights and actually have a structured program like our Old School Muscle program or something else that's safe and joint friendly. So that's progressive resistance, and this comes from the Kaizen principle.
I do like that. You can't get stronger without progressive overload. Mechanical tension is driven off pushing sets to failure. It's not driven off of volume, right? So yes, pushing sets is key. I will add in here that always trying to progressively overload is not always the only way to do it. A lot of times, and often guys that I work with that are even athletes and performance guys that just want to look good naked, you're working in an undulating type manner where maybe you have a heavier leg day and then your second lower body is more lighter volume, right? So you can start really messing with your actual weight that you use to get a little bit of both worlds, not always trying to strive for heavier and stronger, because your body will run into a block, which is why then actually working into blocks of training can be effective. Whether you're doing power, strength, hypertrophy, these can be effective as well. But yes, knowing what you're doing, not winging it, key.
Small incremental progress stacked up over long periods of time equals big gains. Even if you throw another 2.5 pounds on the bar on doing some overhead shoulder presses, will be better for your body, will give you the stimulation to get the results. Principle number 4, prioritize recovery. I cannot say this enough. Muscles grow outside of the gym. They don't grow when you're strength training. Your strength training is the stimulus to get your body to increase protein synthesis. It creates that micro damage that your body wants to recover and super compensate from. But the growth actually happens when you're out of the gym and you're sleeping and you're eating and you're prioritizing your recovery. And this is essential because as we get older, our ability to recover from exercise goes down. And that means our need to have proper sleep and proper nutrition goes up. You just can't get away with stuff that you might have done in your 20s where you lifted weights, then you drank a bunch of beer the next few days, didn't sleep well, and you still made progress. You can't get away with that stuff in your 40s. So what that means for you is 1, you need to make sure you're getting at least 7 hours of quality sleep. If you're not, can you still build muscle? Probably, but the gains are going to be a lot slower and a lot worse than if you're getting at least 7 hours of quality sleep. And number 2, you need to make sure you're eating the right number of calories. We have a free calorie calculator that we include with our old school muscle building program. I'm going to link it below so you can use that. It basically gives you your exact calorie targets for building muscle and also gives you some ideas on proteins, carbs, and fats targets. Essentially, you want to be eating healthy foods. You want to be eating the right number of calories, not too many, like these old school bulking programs that'll just make you fat, but not too few, because if you undereat, you're not going to make enough progress. So high protein foods. Don't be afraid of the right kinds of clean, healthy carbs and some healthy fats. We will deep dive, especially if you want to join us inside that old school muscle program. We have the entire nutrition plan laid out meal by meal, gram by gram. It's very simple. You just follow along. But that free calorie calculator is below in the description. You can get that and you can start figuring out at least your calorie target, and then we can teach you in future videos on how to divide that up. Recovery is key. And I also added on this list with prioritizing recovery, stretch and massage. Absolutely essential. As we get older, our cartilage in our joints is getting weaker. Some of us have arthritis, we have old injuries. So that's why it's so essential to actually get a foam roller, do some at-home foam rolling and stretching when your family's watching TV or after you're done with work. We got to keep your muscles and tissues healthy because it recovers a little slower. But doing stuff like this is what's going to keep you in the game for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And the progress really can be phenomenal if you can stay consistent. You can get very strong in your 40s. In fact, here's a picture of one of my favorite over 40 bodybuilders. This is Sonny Bryant. He actually started bodybuilding in his 40s. This is him in his 70s now. He obviously looks phenomenal, and he didn't start strength training until his 40s, but he uses these principles, and that's why he's so consistent and doing really well, injury-free.
This is great. Number 4 should be number 1, in my opinion, because that's how important it is. After this age of 35, 40, you have to prioritize recovery. And the most important thing that you can do for yourself is sleep and give yourself quality, good food. And I'm telling you now that it is the game changer for keeping your hormones healthy, keeping your body healthy, because how many of you like working out when you're tired and moody? How many of you like working out when you feel like your gut hurts, painful, digestion, bloated? Nobody. So when you take care of those things first, it then makes you feel rewarded to want to move your body, which is awesome, because everybody wants. When we were ancestors back in the day, we didn't wake up and say, oh, I don't want to work out. No, we were ready to go. Whether we had way more sex back in their ancestry periods, we were moving, we were hunting, we were fighting for our own food. And now we get mad when DoorDash is being delivered 10 feet from our front door. So prioritize that stuff. Yes, stretching matters. Very important. You can't. You either use it or you lose it, especially after 40. Now, you don't need to spend a whole hour workout on mobility, but you add that stuff in, sprinkle it in like the side dish, right? And then, supplement well, okay? Take the Fab 5, creatine, vitamin D, fish oil, protein powder, and making sure that you just take a good quality thing of either magnesium or a probiotic, all right? So hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you do these things because he is right, that it's all about these important 5 tactics to get yourself into a better position after 40.